Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Big Idea. I'm the spokesperson for the U.S. mission to the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. I'm Jason Seymour, and I'm so glad you joined us. We started this show because we know that Southeast Asia is filled with leaders who have turned their big ideas into a reality. And we have one today. We have a very special guest. Let me welcome Lou to the program. We have Supaphone Danahi.
Hi.
Oh,
Hi.
oh,
Hi,
good to
Jason.
see you.
Good to see
I
you
love the
too.
background.
Yes.
Is the background from Laos, or is this your dream paradise?
It is from Guangxi waterfall in Luang Prabang, Laos. Yes. Yes. And it's my dream place to go right now, right after the national lockdown.
Well, I hope to get there one day too. Well, you just mentioned the lockdown. So before we get into talking about you, let's just take a moment to think about Laos. What's going on right now with Laos and COVID and restrictions?
Well, just like any other countries, we also impact severely by COVID-19. Although thanks to the great effort of frontliners, doctors and everyone out there who's working to keep us safe, the number is really low, but still to take the precaution and to be safe for everyone. We're at the week 6 of national lockdown right now, but I know that soon we will get back to live the life and everyone will get to go to schools and to work.
But until then, people are willing to make that sacrifice to save lives, keep everyone healthy. You'll get through it. Well, I'm going to get through it.
Yes.
But, my heart and my thoughts go out to Laos and of course every country that's struggling with this pandemic. So hopefully we'll get past this soon.
Yes.
In a happier note, I just have to ask you quickly, have you ever been to, let's see if I can say it correctly, Xiang Huan?
Xiang Huan, yes.
Oh, you have? Oh, that is on my list. One day.
I'm glad you learned about Xiang Huan. Yes.
One day, also known as the Buddha Park for those who don't speak the local language, and just a wonderful park that blends sculptures from Hindu culture and Buddhist culture. It just looks amazing.
Yes, in Xiang Huan is just like a really beautiful scenery, and Xiang Huan is also known for very special sticky rice. It's called in Laos it's called khao kai noi or chicken rice. The rice is really small and round, which is different from the normal sticky rice that we have. And I don't know what makes it so special, but you can eat the whole bowl of sticky rice without feeling guilty at all. Yeah.
Wow, you're making me hungry. So one day I will visit Laos and we'll have some sticky rice. We'll go to the Buddha Park and we'll meet in person and I'll be able to see all the wonderful things that you're doing. So right away, I would like you to tell our audience about this program, Stella.
Yes. So, hello everyone. My name is Supaphone. Call me Lu. I'm a co-founder and business partnership manager at Stella, and we are a social enterprise that focuses on youth development. So 5 years ago, I started Stella because I, meet with many young and incredible young leaders and volunteers in Laos. And we usually meet up, in casual places and talk about, hey, what could we do to help together build this community of young Lao? What is not there yet? And we've seen that there is a big gap in, education and employment, where youth are not confident and feel that they lack of skills to be ready for their job. So we set out to start this space where young people can come and network and build skills and embark in different journeys that help them to build their confidence and leadership. Yeah.
And when you say young, what age range is Stella really designed to help?
Well, from anywhere between 15 to 25. So anyone who start at high school and young professionals.
That's wonderful, because when I was 15, I was just thinking of my schoolwork and my activities that I did at school, but it would not have been a bad idea if I had started thinking, well, eventually I might want a career and I should think about jobs and maybe start thinking about what it takes to put a resume together and be presentable, all those various skills. So that's wonderful.
That's
So you're
right.
still in your adolescence as well.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly, we have so many young people who are really great at their studies, but then they're stuck. They're stuck like, okay, I don't know what I want to do in life. I don't know what I want to study. I don't know what kind of job is available for me. And how do I get this job, So, but these kind of questions are only be found when you are out there exploring, and talk to like, young bigger brothers and sisters who have the experience and maybe in the industry experts. So this is only happen if we facilitate the process. Yeah.
How many Laotians finish high school? How many Laotians go to university or college? Is that common, or what's the situation with a typical Laotian?
Well, the number is very different from, urban area compared to the a rural area. So, in urban city like Vientiane, Savannakhet, Luang Prabang, we have a good number of attendance from, primary and up until universities. But from rural area, there are many setbacks and challenges. First is the geography. We are with the hills and mountains, which make it quite difficult to get access to like education. So sometimes it makes, students just giving up. So that is the one of the challenge that we are facing. And also we are in Laos, we have like different ethnicities, so different language and cultures as well. So in order to learn in Lao language is also another issues that we are working on that. So really the number is very different. But for example, as Stella, it's not only about getting people access to quality education, but getting access to the skills and the kind of environment that they need to grow. So that also means that they have to like learn about communication, learn about problem solving. They have to learn about how to be creative with different challenge that they are thrown at. Yeah.
Now, Stella provides training predominantly in the Lao language, or in English, or what are the options for people?
It is in Lao language, but I think the language is not the main point because our activities are really hands-on. So we're not about like, sitting and then listen to one person talking about how to do things, but it's about hands-on experience. It's about, learning through play, and it's about like, doing it by yourself, reflect and learn on what you learned throughout the experience. Yeah.
And culturally speaking, in Laos, is there a difference between how boys and girls are treated by family? Are girls encouraged equally to go to school or to seek out training like the ones you provide? What's the situation there in terms of men versus women?
Well, for my personal experience, I'm very much, supported by my parents to, go for what I want to achieve. But in Laos in general, we're still facing, the difference between support for boys and girls. And I think many organizations and many, government officers are working to, narrow down the gap. And this is not only about, like family planning, but it's also, related to cultural and many deeper issues that we have to look at. But at Stella particularly, I think we are very surprised to see like a very high number of young women who participate in our training. Always, we have more than 60-70% of young women in a room of workshop, at first I felt really surprised that, oh, how so many like incredible young women are here in the room together to better themselves. But then in 2017 we launched like a small survey for youth, and in that survey we are set out to seek to understand the lifestyle of young people in Vientiane particular, and also to understand what they want to do, what they do in free time. And what comes to our surprise would be that many of young women are investing more of their time into education, into learning outside of classes, and into building better career for themselves. So I'm not surprised at all that so many youth leaders are also young women.
It's options, opportunities. So what kind of, so you've been working with women from different communities and men between the ages of 15 and 25. What kind of skills gaps have you observed? Because you've had to design workshops and training. What are the skills that you focused on specifically?
I would like to see. I like to say that our programs are built into different tracks. So to build up young leaders, to build entrepreneurs, and to build like innovators. So in terms of like young leaders, we are focusing on more on like communication, leadership, and problem solving skills. So these are implemented through different settings of like workshop, mentorship, coaching, and through like hands-on project that they can work on. So one of the project that we've been doing for 5 years now is called Cặp Bán Cảnh. So it's a program where we provide $1,000 to youth who are daring to pitch local solutions to their own hometown. So we think that problems need to be addressed by only people who are there at where they live, and they know best what is happening and what needs to change. So we are like inviting young people from different places all over Laos to team up with their friends and to come up with the local solutions to their own problems. And every year we run one round of this, and I'm very it's always one of the most exciting time of the year to sit down and listen to young people pitching about the projects that they want to do. Yeah,
excellent. Yeah, it's blending that creativity with the practical side, and they have to practice knowing they don't have a limitless amount of money. They have to think very, very carefully how they would use those funds and really have an impact.
Yes, because like there are many funding opportunity out there, but it's also like very competitive and also very difficult. Sometimes even all the application have to be in English. So, if you don't know English, you're already not qualified to apply for this. But we want to be the baby steps for young people to, step up their game and say that, hey, I see the problems. I know that something is not right and I want to do something different. So, these programs are set to nurture these ideas and to nurture young people to, take the initiative to do something positive for their own community. But at the same time, we also want to coach them from, having this idea into action and into reflections. I know, with the small amount of $1,000 will not change completely over, 3 months or 5 months, but at least, through this process, not only they, better understand about the complex issues that are happening in their own hometown, they also gain skills like, like proposal writing, pitching, working as a team. It's not easy to, teamwork and do everything in process. Yeah, so that's the kind of like program that we offer to nurture skills for young people.
You encapsulated so many of the challenges there in being a leader, so many different ideas. I'm going to pause for a moment and share a comment from one of our regular listeners, nice to see you again, Skylar Lay, who commented, behind you is a location called Luang Prabang, right?
Yes.
And Skylar said that former President Obama was there. And President Obama, one of his many skills was that he was a very talented orator, a very talented public speaker. And you mentioned that you work on the communication skills of some of the people who come. What type of communication? Is it written communication, or do you work on their public speaking skills? Or what kind of assistance do you provide?
Well, from the very basic to advanced, we started off with, presenting your ideas verbally and to be able to express idea in, written form. But then after that, we also talk about, the art of listening and questioning and the art of negotiation. So these are all very important skills that we need to be able to do our job effectively. Yeah. So really the blocks of learning goes from very beginning to quite an advanced level. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's really, really good. Because sometimes in the academic experience, it's very isolated or very insular in that you have to write a composition, so you do it on your own. But when you have to present or do a team presentation or talk to one another, that is a specific skill, and it's so important to develop all those skills. So that
and especially in a setting where we have these workshops, they are young people, they are surrounded by their peers at the similar ages, and in a safe environment where we try to establish like trust, and also understanding the different experience that everyone have, so that they can feel confident and feel safe that they will not be judged by others. So sometimes when people just started in the the community space, they will feel a bit shy to talk to others. So that's when we have volunteers and other friends who would come in and say, hey, do you want to play a game? Hey, do you want to attend this workshop? It will be a great opportunity to meet XXX people. So I think it's like the peer-to-peer support is the very important element there to help young people to build these skills. Yeah, because sometimes when you're asked to speak in front of the class, even when I ask to speak in front of people, I get really, really shy. Yeah.
The number one fear of people having to speak in front of others. And the more practice, the more times you do it, the easier it becomes. You never get
easier.
You just have to do it more and more. You never completely get rid of your nerves, never 100%, but it gets easier.
I agree.
So we have a question from Sarah from Indonesia. And Sarah is curious how you're coping with the pandemic. And I would be particularly curious how you have continued to do your outreach and your training programs with the limitations that have been placed because of the pandemic. What creative solutions have you come up with?
Yes, of course. In 6 weeks now that all of our team are working from home, but this is not our first time to experience, national lockdown. We had it a year before, so we learned to adapt, and we also learned to utilize the tools that are available to us. Internet is such a wonderful tools. Yeah. So we have, I think like comparing to the first lockdown a year ago, a lot of young people are more familiar to online learning and to online communications. So they are more familiar with learning through Zoom, learning through like Google Learning Classroom. And we try to utilize all of this in order to still do our work and in order to be connected to young people. Yeah, but the main space for at Stella, the physical space, we still have to close down for safety measure. But for us, we still have we launched kind of our weekly online space where we ask young people to share different topics of of their life or their situation, be it their, family issues or, friends, relationships. So that's how we try to connect and try to, address, different issues that are in our throughout our Facebook.
One convenience to doing activities and training virtually, of course, is that people get past transportation struggles. Maybe they don't have the full time to get to the facility. So there are pros and cons to doing virtual programs. So
Yes.
I hear you.
Yeah, true. But the online stress is real. And even
It's
I
real.
myself, after several hours of, working, meetings online, I also can feel the tolls. So I would say if you have to do like workshops or anything, like a long period intense workshop, try to break it down into, sessions where there's like offline time and online time in order to better connect.
That is very good advice. That is very good advice, because the virtual fatigue and computer fatigue, it's real. Similar to that, we have a question from Skylar from Thailand, who's wondering what your biggest obstacle is for managing Stella, for managing this initiative, because some of our listeners come up with similar ideas and they'd like to start, a similar program, perhaps in Laos or maybe another Southeast Asian country. What are some lessons you've learned along the way?
Well, when I first started Stella, the idea is very new. So it's new both in terms of like a co-working space for young people. Like they're like, what? Like, I have to spend like 5 minutes to explain that, hey, it's safe to come, just come over and meet new friends, So the concept is still very new. So sometimes I'm facing with like doubts and, like instead of like saying like, oh, I'm an accountant, I would say that, okay, I run this space and then take 5 minutes to explain it in order to convince, people to come. But then, I started to build, I have a really great partner and we have a good team. So from there, we start to build, okay, this is the issues that we are trying to solve. This is the kind of programs that we can explore, sometimes we find the right program, sometimes it's not so right, but we learn from it. And we try to build a better and better one and try to build partnerships. I think it's really important to reach out to partners who share similar goals. So for us, we are really, into learning about different youth groups that are already working really hard in different areas in Laos. We get to know like youth group who are passionate about, environment. We have to get to know about youth who are really passionate about mental health. So all these small groups, when we are connected, we are able to do great work.
You brought up a really good point that when you have an idea and you're just starting out and you're still sorting it through, you definitely should talk to other people, share your idea. They
Yes.
may have ideas to share with you, or they may have similar experiences. Networking is really, really important for that reason. You can all benefit from each other's ideas and tips. So I'm glad that you did that. And you're still doing it, because a project is never perfect. There's always new ideas coming.
Mm-hmm.
We have another question, and I hope I say your name correctly. This person is from Laos, Sittifon, who asks, looking back to the first day of your journey with Stella, how do you think about it now? And what's your outlook for the future?
Wow, this is a big question. Well, comparing to the first day up until now, well, from the first day, it's just me and my partner and a desk and an idea. And from there, we sit and we go and talk to many, many, many people. And then now we grow into a team of like almost 20 people now, working in different area and with partners with UNDP, universities and embassies. So, we grow a lot from just an idea into a program where we work with thousands of young people to build skills and build curriculum and build meaningful partnerships. And I'm glad I get to do this, every day in my life. And I'm also proud when young people said that I help them to believe in themselves. So I think that's the best part of my work. And in the future, we also looking to expand, from community in Vientiane. I'm also looking to have different partners in other provinces in Laos. So now we are looking to build more and more, youth partners with youth in the southern part of Laos, which is one of the programs that we're working on at the moment to tackle the employment and COVID-19 in southern part of Laos, because we have many of the young population in southern province of Laos who leave for work in our neighbor countries and now are forced to return because of the pandemic. So we are now at the process of building a program in order to help them to, build skills and ready to get back to workforce. So I think that would be one of the biggest project that I'm looking forward to.
Fantastic. You're not, as we say in America, you're not resting on your laurels. You're constantly having new ideas and you're expanding. And I know part of the inspiration, part of the development of your skills was the fact that you were able to be part of a Waisili program in the United States in 2016. So would you please share with our audience a little bit about your experience in that program?
I'm really glad to revisit that experience. I think I was one of the first batch of Waisili members when it was launched. So back then there was a lot of interesting and programs at regional level. So one of the first one that I got a chance to participate in was a Waisili regional workshop in Saigon about entrepreneurship. And that's where I met with so many, awesome, entrepreneurs from ASEAN countries. And we still have, we're still keeping in touch now with a fellow in Vietnam and Philippines, and then once I got connected to this network, I also got connected to different other opportunities. And one of that is to attend the Global Youth Opportunity Summit in Washington, D.C. in 2016 that you just mentioned. And that was the first time for me to visit United States by myself. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So that was in Washington, D.C. And I extended my travel a little bit to New York City because, I have to go.
It's not too far from DC.
It is.
During that program, can you think of one tip that you remember that you gained from that program in DC?
Wow, it is a summit. So I was surrounded by, program managers, and leaders from all over American who work to support youth, not only in the States, but also around the world. So in that, not only I get to, learn about the different lessons that we implement and learn from the many different projects, but what I like the most during the event is called the Fail Festival. So that's where, people were invited to talk about things that they fail and what do they learn out of it and how do we celebrate failures, because it means that we try. Yeah. So I think that would be one of the most memorable part of the event for me.
That is such an important lesson. Everyone in life has failed. Anyone in life, let me put this better. If you take risks, they're not always going to work out. Sometimes you're going to fail.
Yeah.
And then you realize, wait a minute, I survived. And I got up the next morning and I kept going. And you realize it's okay. You can take that risk. You can do that failure. Because if you never take a risk, you're not going to become a leader. You're not going to be successful. You have to take that chance, which you obviously have.
Yes.
And you have this great program now.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
yeah. So
excellent.
that was one of the like totally different kind of sessions that I've been to. But apart from that, I also got to travel, with fellows from ASEAN to visit different part of Washington, D.C. So
Mm,
I don't think I've been to any place, any city with so many museum in one place. So I think
mhm,
that was great about Washington, D.C. Yeah.
mhm. If someone were to visit Vientiane, do you have museums in Vientiane? Not like DC maybe, but
Yeah.
is there an appreciation for culture and history?
Yeah, we do have
Southeast
museum.
Asia is so rich with culture. There's so much to learn. And I hope that every country is preserving their history and their culture and putting them in museums so that we can all learn and enjoy from those
Yeah,
experiences.
we do. But we also have nature, like the one that I have behind me, Quang Si Waterfall in Luang Prabang, is
Mhm.
one of the UNESCO heritage site in Laos. So, it's almost like you're walking in the living museum because you can talk to the people, you can eat the food, and you can visit nature, and you will learn a lot about Laos through there.
So when COVID is not as serious as it is now, and I'm able to travel to Laos to visit you and see what you're doing with Stella in person, what are some of the Laotian foods that you will to which you will introduce me?
Oh, well, definitely you have to try our papaya salad.
Okay,
Yeah,
papaya. I love papaya, but and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
always a little different from country to country. So I'm eager.
Yes. Yeah, I think we have a different twist, and I think that's the staple that we all have. Like every blocks you walk, there will be one papaya salad store. And I think it would be similar to my experience in New York, where I try to ask the local what's the best bagel in town, and everyone has their own favorite. If you come to Laos and you ask like what would be the best place to go for papaya salad, everyone will have a different answers because they are also good.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, papaya, waterfalls, museums. I'm looking forward to it. So we do have one more question. This will have to be our last question from the audience because the time is getting short. I'm going to try to say your name correctly. I hope I do. Sana Dalin Phuam Van Gishe. Sorry if I didn't pronounce that correctly. Tried very hard on that one. And Sanedalin wants to know about, have you been developing partnerships with perhaps UN agencies or local NPAs or other groups? Have you been doing that? And if so, have you been successful? What are some tips for our audience on that?
Okay, yeah. So one of the reason that we're a project that we are doing with UN agencies would be like a partner for innovative solutions grant. So UN labs in Laos, UN innovation labs in Laos, they launch like a grant for anyone who come up with like creative solutions on waste management, and Stella play a role in like helping to design and also to manage the process of the grantees. So we help to coach the grantees so that making sure that they're doing what they pitch to do. So and with local NPAs we also work with different NPAs, mean non-profit associations, and that's the term for local NGOs here in Laos. I think the strategy to work with these agents first is to be connected. So there's like a list of like networks and also regular meetings where we can update about different works that everyone do. So I make sure that we receive the news regularly and we understand the dynamic of work that everyone is doing. And for us, it's also to speak about our work regularly as well. So never be shy to speak about Stella, never be shy to speak about what we are doing and what kind of programs that we have to offer for young people, because youth leadership and youth development is always a cross-cutting issues for all the programs that are available in Laos, because we are a young country with more than 60% of youth population. So we have to try to make different agencies to understand that we have to have youth voice in the table. We have to have youth perspective in the program design. So my strategy would be to connect and also to speak and to help people understand, how youth development can benefit the programs in general.
Lots of good advice there. It's clear that the reason you've been successful is because you enjoy what you're doing, you're passionate about what you're doing, you believe you're doing something of quality, and because of all those things, as you said, you're not shy about it. You share with young people, you share with MPAs, you share with potential colleagues and coworkers, and you just share, and get all the tips and market it and all those things. But it comes down to, you really love what you're doing.
Yes.
You're really passionate.
I do.
So I do want to ask you one more question, and that is, I am curious about your role models, leaders who you look up to, either in the United States or Laos, or could be from somewhere else, but who is a leader who you really admire?
I got asked this question several times, but I'm thinking about it. I still don't have like just one person, because I'm so inspired by different people that I get a chance to work with, and they are from different background and experience, and getting to know them and to have a chance to like genuinely listen to their stories, that inspire me. But if there's really one person that I'm really looking up to, it would be my mom, really, because she's like strong, fearless, and she also caring, so I a lot of character of who I am. I would be grateful to what my mom provided for us family. Yeah.
Well, go moms.
Yes.
And also, I really took to heart what you were saying about there are so many leaders who do exciting things, and so many people from whom we can learn all kinds of tips and lessons. And since I started this series of The Big Idea, I've had the opportunity to talk to so many amazing leaders, Southeast Asian leaders, who are just doing amazing things. And I'm so inspired. And you are another one of them, Lou. You've really inspired me today. I'm so excited about everything that you're doing for youth. You are really having an impact in Laos. Please keep it up. Please do what you're doing. Please share with us, meaning the US mission, your stories and all the exciting things you're doing. And I'm really, really looking forward to someday getting back to Laos. I was there once, but I didn't get to go to Vientiane. And I hope I get to see you and meet you and see what you're doing in person. I hope that happens really soon.
Yes.
So stay
You're
safe.
very much welcome.
Stay safe, stay healthy. I wish everyone in Laos well. I hope you get through this shutdown, and that the numbers go down and down and down, and everything can get back to normal.
Yes.
All right. Guests of The Big Idea, thank you so much again for joining us. Thank you to Lou. Thanks for all her tips. Thanks for audience members for asking such great questions. We'll have to say goodbye now. Until the next time, take care.
Bye, take care.